Mauritius is an island nation in the Indian Ocean, 600 miles or so east of Madagascar, consisting of several islands: Rodriguez, Agalega, St. Brandon, and the main island, also named Mauritius. The island of Mauritius was discovered by Arab sailors around the year 975 CE and named Dinarobi, a name still attested on early Spanish and Portuguese maps of the area, from a time, around the year 1500, when these two seafaring powers had essentially divided the world between them. Did they ask the rest of the world? Not so much. Like many former colonies, Mauritius is a polyglot nation. English is its official language, but most Mauritians switch between English, French, and Mauritian Creole. And as with many such polyglot former colonial nations, the cuisine of Mauritius is diverse as well, blending African, Chinese, French, and Indian influences. A menu of Mauritian street foods reads like an extremely specific list of things I want to eat. Biryani, spicy fritters, fried noodles, rich meaty lentil stews, dumplings, samosas, dal puri wraps that look a lot like Trini doubles to me, bean curries, various meats in Creole sauce, greens, chutneys, spicy pickles, all good things. And roti. Roti is a generic name for bread in Indian-influenced cultures, deriving from a Sanskrit root, and usually it describes unleavened flatbreads based on wheat flour, parathas or chapatis or similar staple foods, used mainly to wrap up or scoop up other dishes. In Mauritius, the local roti are a layered flatbread called paratha, a variant of paratha made from wheat flour rolled out flat, often rubbed with oil before folding up and re-rolling into a squarish shape. And where there is roti, there are wraps made with that roti. In Mauritius, those wraps might be called Roti Chaud, meaning essentially hot bread. There are a number of combinations that might get rolled up in roti, but Roti Chaud generally involves gros pois, a curry made with butter beans, and rougaille, a spicy Creole sauce that forms the base of several Mauritian dishes. Roti Chaud may also include coriander chutney or a spicy Indian-style chili pickle, or even some other vegetable or greens dish. Now, there are recipes for all the dishes I'm using here on my website if you're interested. And as usual, these recipes result from my process of obsessively reading every recipe I can find online, including many that I have to rely on Google Translate to understand. I choose the features that I like best from each recipe. This one, for instance, might use fenugreek seeds, and that one uses curry leaves, and this other one has a better process for cooking beans. I synthesize an ideal recipe from all these spare parts, as it were, and then I basically just throw everything together and hope it works. The butterbean curry, called gros pois, French for large peas, is the featured player in a roti show, though I'd argue that a well-made roti steals the show. Whereas an Indian curry would likely start by toasting whole spices to make a masala, it's my understanding that curries in Mauritius often use pre-made curry powders much like the ones on our grocery store shelves. But even a freshly made masala would have a hard time here drawing attention away from the big aromas and flavors of fenugreek seeds and curry leaves. Butter beans, which are full-grown lima beans, white instead of green, are not easy to cook. They absorb a lot of water, eventually splitting and disintegrating, much like all beans, yes, but more so. It took me 3 tries to get to a process where the beans cook fully without falling apart. Rougaille is the Mauritian Creole sauce that forms the basis of many a Mauritian recipe. Some of these Creole sauces I saw online are cooked down smooth and look like a tomato sauce straight out of a jar, but I opted to make a chunkier, more rustic style of sauce. It's flavored with thyme and curry leaves, ginger and garlic, onion and chili. It's bright, citrusy, minty even, yet earthy and pungent, with a tart and savory character from the tomato. It's a terrific accompaniment to the curry, but I can see how with a bit of protein added, it could easily stand on its own as a main dish as well. Beyond the basics of the roti, the butterbean curry, and the Creole sauce, Roti Chaud recipes I read online diverged. Some recommended a coriander chutney similar to the brightly flavored green chutney so commonly used in Indian cuisine. Others called for a chili chutney or a pickle. Still others mentioned the various types of vegetable dishes served in Mauritian cuisine. It may not be a canonical roti chaud ingredient, but the one that stuck with me was stewed taro leaves, in part because of how each recipe emphasized the toxicity of raw taro leaves and the importance of cooking them thoroughly to break down the naturally occurring calcium oxalate crystals in the leaves and stems that can cause irritation to any skin or soft tissue it's exposed to. Like, say, your throat. Sounds delicious, right? And despite it not necessarily being a canonical roti chaud ingredient, I imagine I am not the first person to serve it in one. And once all these dishes were ready to go, making the wrap was a snap. A little of each down the center of the roti, rolled up in some foil to keep everything from spilling out the bottom. Now a wrap consisting only of saucy, squishy things, curried beans, stewed greens, spicy tomato sauce, it does present some challenges when eating. Something more solid, like a cylindrical kebab of meat, for instance, provides some rigidity to the wrap, something to push your teeth against. With a chewy but flexible flatbread like a ferrata and squishy innards, things shift around in a way that can make it difficult to eat. But with some patience, my effort was rewarded. Some coriander chutney would have been a terrific way to brighten this up, but I was a fan of the spicy, savory mix of bean curry and tomato sauce, just as it stood. Like many dried beans, butter beans are mild with a creamy texture, soaking up the flavors that they're cooked with. In this case, that is an aromatic, toasty flavor from the fenugreek seeds, strangely like maple syrup without the sweetness, along with pungent and earthy notes from the curry leaves and turmeric, standing out from the panoply of flavors even a store-bought curry powder brings to a dish. Bright coriander, warm cumin, aromatic cinnamon, the pungent bite of garlic and ginger. These flavors are amplified by the deeply savory tomato base of Creole sauce and the pungent, fiery chili pepper and onion flavor it delivers. This is muted a bit by the mild spinach-like greenness of the stewed taro leaves, but the acidity of the tamarind sauce it contains is a welcome addition. Some chutney would probably be good too, and next time I'll certainly try that. But a curry this good isn't going to last in this house, and for now, my butter beans are long gone.